Om Dakshinasya Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryanta Smarya Guru Parampara Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaran Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So we have started the Vedantadindimah, a work by Acharya Narasimha Saraswati, which is a niddhidhyasana grantha, wherein we are going to contemplate over what we have heard and what we have mulled over from whatever we have heard from the Upanishads so far, from Bhagavad Gita, from various Prakarana Granthas, and from various Upanishads, whatever we have heard in the last 5 years, we are going to really contemplate over whatever we have heard and not yet assimilated. This Grantha, being a niddhidhyasana Grantha, is meant for assimilation of what has been heard, Guru and Shastra Vakyas or words, whatever have been heard. At the same time, this knowledge has been made doubt-free by constant mananam, and this knowledge to be assimilated by me so that this knowledge gives me its phalam of moksha. For that sake, we are using this small work of 95 verses of this Acharya as a niddhidhyasana grantha. And I said that the first 10 verses, though niddhidhyasana granthas will not follow a particular pattern, they talk about various Vedantic truths in a very, sort of scattered manner. But still, in Vedantadindimah, we can see some kind of a grouping, a very loose grouping of verses. And the first 10 verses, the Acharya wants us to really contemplative over Atma Anatma Viveka. The very first of the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhishatka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. These are the 4 things which are called as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, by which a person becomes an adhikari for this knowledge. Viveka means what? Atma Anatma Viveka. Atma Anatma Viveka means what? What am I and what is not I? What is the subject I and what is an object which is not I? So, I and not I. This is explained in 10 verses from various points of view. From various standpoints it is explained. So, in the first verse, Atma Anatma Padarthau Dvau. It said there are only 2 things. The entire universe can be divided into I, the seer, the knower, and perceiver, the subject, and Anatma, any number of objects that are there. There is one knower, I, perceiving multiple objects. Perceiving multiple objects, Anatma. Anatma is many. Atma, the perceiver, is one. Atma is nitya, remains the same in every situation. Anatma is anitya. It is there today, not there tomorrow. Atma is nirvikari, remains without changing. Anatma is vikari, savikari, completely, continuously changes. So, this ekam atma is the perceiver, aneka anatma is the perceived. The subject is one, ekam, nityam, constant, infinite, always there, never coming up and going, never changing, whereas the object is many, constantly changing, not continuous. It is there for some time, not there for some time. Anityam. Nityam Atma, Anityam Anatma. Okay, Ekam Atma, Anekam, Aneka Anatma. Then subject Jnata Atma, Jneyam Anatma. That's what is being told here. Jnanam we saw, Atma. Knowledge is I, the knower. That's why one of the Upanishads says, Prajnanam Brahma. This very awareness, which is called as Jnanam, Satyam Jnanam, does not mean only, Jnanam can have many connotations. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Sat Chit Atma, in which Jnanam means the knowingness, the awareness. I, the awareness is Jnanam. And whatever is known by me, which is constantly changing, is Ajnanam. That means that's something in which there is nothing there. Therefore, in the previous verse, in the third verse, we saw Jnanaha. Jnanam is muktihi. Okay? Whereas Ajnanam binds. Jnana means what? The right knowledge, the correct knowledge of who I am. As to Ekam, Nityam, Shuddham, Nirvikari, Akarta, Atma, Ahamasmi. This is knowledge. Whereas I am the body, I am the mind, Ahankara, I am the doer. Mamakara, this is mine, this is mine, this is not mine. All this is Ajnanam. Ajnanam binds, whereas Jnanam releases me once and for all. You may be wondering that I'm going straight away deeper into these things because we have already seen this for 5 years. And our Pujya Swamiji has specifically instructed me that in the second series, I have to talk at a deeper level. Because Swamiji says, our people now, after 5 years of being introduced to Vedanta, are capable of understanding Vedanta at a deeper level. So he has specifically instructed me that I should go a little deeper and not deal with only these things only at a superficial level. Therefore, I'm taking this time to go deeper into the truths which we have already known, which we have already studied. With this summary of what we have seen in the last 2 sessions, let's go to the 4th verse. The 4th verse also is talking about nothing but the same division of Atma and Anatma from another point of view. So let us see what he has to say. ज्ञातृज्ञेयपदार्थौ द्वौ भास्यभासकलक्षणौ ज्ञाता ब्रह्म जगज्ञेयम् इति Vedantadindimah. So here he says, the whole universe can be divided into Jnatr Jneya Padarthau Dvau. There are only 2 things if you look at it in this universe. Jnata, the knower, Jneyam, the known. The same thing. Atma is the Jnata and Anatma Jagat is Jneyam. What is the meaning of Jneyam? An object, that which is known. Who is a Jnata? The perceiver, the seer, the listener, the smeller, the eater, the speaker, the mover, the walker, all the earths that I put, no? That consciousness behind the ER, the ER, is nothing but this Jnatru or Jnata. So he says the whole world can be divided into the knower and the known, subject and the object. And what are they? What is this Jnata? And what is this Jneyam? So here, Jnata Brahma. This Jnata is nothing but Brahma. Okay, Jnata is what? Brahma. Why Jnata is Brahma? Because Jnata is that consciousness Atma. Atma Brahma, the first verse only, the second verse we saw. Brahmaiva Atma na deha adihi. So that means what? This Jnata, the knower consciousness, that consciousness behind every ER that we put with every transaction of ours. Okay? The knower, the doer, the transactor, the ER that we put after every activity of the body, mind, sense complex. What is it that makes this complex an ER? Okay? A knower. What makes me a knower? It is this Atma or consciousness behind this intellect, mind, which makes me a knower. Okay? What is it that makes me a seer? The consciousness behind the eyes, which make the eyes see. I am that consciousness which is behind the seer. The seer Atma, the Atma behind the seer, the Atma behind the listener, the Atma or the consciousness behind the walker. This consciousness behind every function of the body, mind, sense complex is called as the Jnata, the knower or the knower consciousness. If I say, I know you, who is this I? Which really knows, which makes the knowing process possible? It is this consciousness, Atma. So the consciousness behind the knower. I think I have told you this particular verse which comes in Kathopanishad many times before. Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso manoyat, vachoha vacham sau pranasya prana. That which is the ear of the ear, that which is the mind of the mind, that which is the prana of the prana, that which is the speech of the speaker. So what is the meaning of this? That consciousness because of which the eyes see and make me a seer. That consciousness because of which the ears hear, which makes me a listener or a hearer. That consciousness because of which the prana functions. Pranasya prana. That consciousness behind this speaker who makes this body, mind, sense complex a speaker. That consciousness, that Atma is I, the Jnata. I, the knower consciousness is Jnata. What is Jneyam? That which is known by this knower is Jneyam. Now, if you remember the 13th verse of Bhagavad Gita, what does Arjuna ask Lord Krishna? What is Jnanam and what is Jneyam? Okay? Of course, he doesn't ask who is the Jnata and what is Jneyam. But Lord Krishna says, that which is really worthy of knowing, That Atma or Brahman understanding, that consciousness, Atma or Brahman, is the ultimate truth of this entire universe, including this body, mind, sense complex. That is the Jnaya Vastu, to be known. And for Jnanam, he gives a set of 21 values which make the intellect mature enough to understand this Jnaya Vastu. That's why Brahman is called as Jnaya Vastu there. But here, when he says Jnayam, means that which is an object of my knowledge. What is the object of my knowledge? The whole universe is an object of my knowledge, right? This body is the object of my knowledge because I know this body. I see this body. Fine. I'm the consciousness which knows this body. I'm the consciousness which makes this body function. Okay. Therefore, body, mind, sense complex also falls into the Jnaya Vastu. See, we have to see the ultimate message that the Acharya, the author, is giving here. Jnata Brahma Jagat Jnayam. Jnata or the knower consciousness is that Brahman. Ayamatma Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. Jagat Jnayam. The entire Jagat, which is inclusive of this body, mind, sense complex. Ahankara also, not only body, mind, sense, but this Ahankara also is a part of the Jnaya Prapancha. And he gives another thing here in the, the second part of this. Bhasya Bhasaka Lakshanau. Bhasya means that which is lighted up. Bhasaka means that which lights up. So many times I have used this term, which is used in the Upanishads. Jyotisham Jyotihi. When we have seen in Mundakopanishad, Kathopanishad, na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Tasya bhasa. When this light of consciousness, Atma, reveals itself, shines, sarvam idam vibhati. The entire objective world is lighted up. Okay? Therefore, bhasakaha means the light of consciousness which lights up the whole universe, the objective universe. So it is the very subject. The very subject consciousness, I reveal myself in the form of ahamasmi iti, constantly sphurantam. Dakshinamurthy Stotram we have done. All the time ahamasmi, I am iti, that is constantly pulsating within me, is revealing itself, and that light of consciousness becomes the bhasaka, the lighter, that which lights up. And what is the Jagat? Bhasyam, the lighted one. So, here, from another point of view, it is seen. Atma, Anatma, we saw that. Atma Chaitanyam, Anatma Jadaha, Atma Ekaha, Anatma Anekaha, Atma Nirvikari, Anatma Savikari, Atma Nityam, Anatma Anityam, all that we saw. Now here, another point of view, as this Atma, I am the only Jnata. There are no multiple subjects here. There is only one knower consciousness, one subject, I. And it is the same knower consciousness, Kshetrajna, which is there in all the Kshetras, everywhere. Therefore, I can divide this entire universe into Bhasya Bhasaka Lakshanau, the lighted up world, and the light of consciousness which lights up. And he says, Jnata Brahma Jagan Jnayam iti Vedantadindimah. So all the Upanishads proclaim that this light of consciousness, Jnata, is Brahman. See, every verse is a Mahavakyam here. Atma, Brahma, Abheda is talked about in every verse. Jnata Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. That's one of the four constantly, frequently cited examples of a Mahavakya. Jaganneyam. This whole universe is only an object of my knowledge, nothing else. The object of my knowledge is there today, not there tomorrow. Today it is in some form, tomorrow it is in another form. Nothing constant in it. Then where do I stand? Where do I abide myself in? In the Jnatri Swarupam of me, which is the reality or the Atma. Then we'll go to the next verse, the fifth verse. I think we forgot to chant the Dhyana Shloka. It's okay. I mean, the Bangalacharana Shloka. That's all right. We'll do it next time. Then he divides the whole universe again into two from another perspective in the fifth verse. So he says, Sukha Dukkha Padarthau Dvau Priya Vipriya Karakau Sukham Brahma Jagad Dukkham Iti Vedantadindimah. Okay, so the only source of Sukham, the only Ananda Swarupam is nothing but Brahman, which is I, me, the Atma. So he says, the Acharya says, the whole world from the standpoint of view of happiness and unhappiness, Sukham and Dukkham, it can be divided, the whole world can be divided into that which is Sukha Swarupa and that which is Dukkha Swarupa. So he says, Sukha Dukkha Padarthau Dvau. There are only two things the whole universe can be divided. That which is the source of Sukham, that which is the source of Dukkham. Priya Vipriya Karakau Dvau. Priya Karakaha Vipriya Karaka. That which is the source of happiness, source of security, source of peace or shanti. Param Shantim Apnoti. Bhagwan Krishna says any number of times in Bhagavad Gita. Param Shantim. Mokshakyam Shantim Apnoti. Many times it is said there. So here he says, Sukha Dukkha Padarthau Dvau. The whole universe from the point of Sukha and Dukkha can be grouped into only two. Priya Vipriya Karaka. That which constantly is a source of Sukha or joy or Purnatvam. And that which is a constant source of Dukkha. Fine. Sukha does not mean momentary happiness. All of us get momentary happiness even from Anatma, isn't it? When I eat something nice which I like, momentarily I am happy, very happy I feel. I feel like going and eating an ice cream today because I'm very fond of ice cream and I can't say that it is useless. When I eat the ice cream, it gives me sukha. How long? It's a very temporary sukha. After I am done with it and come home, the sukha is gone. Supposing somebody says, okay, you like ice cream and it gives you a lot of happiness, go on eating. If I go on eating one after another, 10 ice creams, then it is no longer a source of sukha for me. I get sick. That which I loved, it's causing me sickness. I feel nauseated with it. That is not sukha. Anything which is temporary, anything which comes and goes is not the real sukha. It is only a very, very relative sukha, temporary sukha. So he says, Sukha Dukkha Padarthau Dvau. There are only two things here. That which gives me, that which is the Sukha Swarupa, which forever is a source of happiness for me. And vipriyakaram is dukkham, which is not a source of happiness for me. Now you may ask, is really the world so bad that it is only dukkha? If the Jagat was only dukkha swarupa, then why are we wanting to live our lives? Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live. And it's not as if this whole world, this whole life has been only dukkha, 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 dukkha. No. Some lives, because of prarabdha, may have more of dukkha, less of sukha. Some people with punya prarabdha may have more of sukha, less of dukkha. But then the world is not a constant source of, misery, right? All of us have enjoyed moments of happiness in this world. The so-called aham and mama, the so-called objective universe, the so-called dead universe, the so-called anatma universe, the so-called ever-changing universe. Still it has given me some happiness, isn't it? Then how can I call this jagat as dukkha swarupam? Because we have to remember what we have studied earlier as the doshas that are associated, or the shortcomings that are associated with the objective world. What is our sukha from the objective world? Dukkha mishritatvam. Any kind of happiness that I get is either preceded by dukkha. I have to make so much effort that getting whatever I want for the sake of sukha is nothing but a trouble that I have taken. And ababa, now I have finished it and now I can enjoy. This is my idea. But then achieving something is also dukkham. Acquiring it is dukkham in the objective world. It's not easy. I don't get what I want, what gives me happiness that easily. Do I get it? How many of us get what we want, what we feel gives us happiness? I think of it and it happens. It is there. No. I have to struggle for it. I have to make an effort for it. To acquire something which gives me sukha, there is dukkha. Maintaining what I have acquired in the same form is again dukkha. Nothing remains the same. It keeps changing. So to make it, to retain it in the same way, I try hundreds of tricks. Again, maintaining, protecting, keeping what I have acquired safe is dukkha. Dukkha mishritatvam. Fear that I may lose what I have got. Oh, with so much effort, with so much of energy, time and money, ultimately I bought this nice, beautiful dream house of mine. How long? How long does it take for that dream to get shattered? After a few years, that very dream house has become a source of problems for me. I now want to get out of this as early as possible and go somewhere else. Isn't it? Or I'm afraid that I may lose it. Or I may go before that without enjoying it, or it may slip out of my hands. So, dukkha at every level. Yes, Anatma Jagat gives me sukha, no doubt about it. But at what cost? Dukkha mishritatvam. Secondly, atrupti karatvam. Do I have any trupti with what I have? No. There is always envy that somebody is doing better than me. Somebody has something better than me. I deserved something more, I did not get it. Somebody, look at that fellow, he just doesn't deserve anything, but see how much he has got. And I have worked so hard, I am a deserving person, see where I am. So what is this now? Atrupti karatvam. Whatever I get, my target is always moving. Today I say, if I have this much money, I'll be very happy. By the time that much money accumulates in me, my target has already moved further. Some more I want. So atrupti karatvam. No sukha from anatma prapancha. Temporarily, yes, it has given me some sukha. But then that sukha is not something which is all the time there. Tripti is very, 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 very small, short-lived tripti, followed by atripti. So, atripti karatvam. Then bandhakatvam, that which binds me. Once I'm used to something, I want more of it. I want more of it. I don't want to lose it. The more I improve my lifestyle, the more higher I go in my lifestyle, I'm scared that I may not be able to afford this lifestyle. I want more of it. I want a better lifestyle. Okay? So, what is it? So, that is something bandhakatvam. I'm bound. So, dukkhamishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, bandhakatvam. It binds me into doing something more, something more, something more. And with that, I may get more dukkha. So, if anybody asks me a question, how do you say that anatma is vipriyakaraha? That means it causes me dukkha. It gives me a temporary, a relative saukhyam or sukha, short-lived. That's why my Vedanta guru used to say, I'm most of the time dukhi, occasionally in between sukhi. That's all. Small periods of sukha, long periods of dukkha. Dukkha means struggle to get something, to be happy. Aren't we all struggling to be happy? Because we are dependent on happiness on the anatma jagat, we are struggling. But when that very source of apuryamana achala pratishtha or sarvatah samplutodaka sthaniya sukham is there in me, constant source of purnatvam, nityatvam is there in me, I am not aware of it. I am after that relative sukham. Therefore, the universe or the anatma jagat, though it may temporarily give me some sukha, but it is not nitya sukham. Because anatma is basically not sukha swarupam. Inherently, no object has sukha or dukkha in itself. We must understand. The sukha or dukkha comes from me. If an object gives me sukha, it's not the object that is giving me sukha. It is my own sukha swarupam reflecting when an object of my desire I have acquired. Dukkha, a disturbed mind which blocks my real sukha swarupam, that is dukkha. Inherently, no object is sukha or dukkha. This book by itself is not sukha swarupam or dukkha swarupam. It is a jada object. But for a mumukshu, for a Vedantin, for a mumukshu, this is sukha swarupa. When I read this gives me a great inner satisfaction or sukham. But for a person who's not interested in it, not prepared for it, if I force that person to read this book, it is dukkha only for such a person. So, no object by itself has sukha or dukkha inherently in it. It only reflects the sukha or dukkha. Therefore, the entire universe has no swarupam of sukha. Actually, it is dukkha swarupam because it is always slipping from my hands. Sukham is that which is constant in spite of the situations outside, in spite of my problems, in spite of the people around me, in spite of the conditions around me. That sense of purnatvam, which is my real nature, is called as sukham. Therefore, he says sukham brahma. Sukham brahma. I, the Atma, is that sukha swarupa brahma. Jagat dukkham iti Vedantadindimah. Jagat dukkham. Ultimately, anatma, when I identify myself with ahankara, mamakara, with Anatma and expect that Anatma to fulfill me and make me feel Purnatvam all the time, the problem is with me. The problem is with my Ajnanam, not with the Jagat outside. The objects have nothing to do with my Sukham. They have nothing to do with my Dukkham. It is my wrong identification in a wrong place to find happiness there. Therefore, dvau padarthau sukha dukkha svarupau priya vipriya karakau sukham brahma, the real sukha swarupa, the real source of, samplutodaka sthaniya, it is called. Bhagavan Shankaracharya always says that purnatvam, irrespective of the situation I am in, that is Brahma. Sukha Swarupa Brahma Ahamasmi. Ananda Swarupa Atma Ahamasmi. That is why I, the Atma, is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Sat, Chit, Ananda Atma. I am the Ananda, ultimate Sukha Purnatva Swarupa. Anantam, Anandam is nothing but myself. Whereas the limited Anatma Jagat is a temporary source of relative happiness. That's all. The author here is not trying to blame the world. The author here is not trying to tell me to discard the world. The author is only telling me, enjoy the world with the awareness that this is Anatma, this is not real Sukha Swarupa. As long as it gives me that whatever little few glimpses of happiness, fine, enjoy it. Nothing wrong in enjoying it. You don't have to leave the world and go, but understand. Understand the limitations of Anatma. Understand the limitation of how much Anatma can give me contentment and Purnatvam. Understand that. Understand that depending upon the Anatma is always Apurnatvam. And if I really want that Purnatvam, then I have to abide in my Sukha Swarupa Atma. Now we'll go to the 6th verse. Now in the 6th verse, the Acharya again looks at the whole universe, including me, the Jiva, from 2 points of view. He says, Samashti Vyashti Rupau Dvau Padarthau Sarvasammatau Samashtirishvaro Vyashtihi Jivo Vedantadindimah. Simple. We have already seen this. In Vishnusahasranama, our last work which we took up, very clearly we saw the Samashti in Lord Vishnu. Or we saw Lord Vishnu in the Samashti, in the total, in the world outside. So he says, we can have only 2 things from this point of view, from another angle. Samashti, Vyashti, Rupau, Dvau. The limitless, relatively limitless, total universe and the limited individual. The total is called as Samashti. The limited, the individual is called as the Vyashti. Rupau Dvau. Padarthau Sarva Samatau. All the Upanishads talk about it. Sarva Vedantadindimah, isn't it? So all the Upanishads, they talk about this. Okay. And that is accepted by all the Acharyas. Sarva Samatau. What are those 2? Samashti, Vyashti. There is a total, there is an individual. Now, there is a Samashti Sthula Prapancha, there is a Vyashti Sthula Sharira. There is a Samashti Sukshma Prapancha, there is a Vyashti Sukshma Prapancha, Sukshma Sharira. There is a Samashti Karana Prapancha, there is a Vyashti Karana Sharira. That means what? Whatever is there as an individual is also there in a total quantity or in totality, which is called as Samashti. The totality is called as Samashti. Everything, the whole thing, Samashti. Vyashti is this limited Upadhi limited jiva. Now you may ask me, why? Even samashti is an upadhi, isn't it? Isn't this whole universe also an upadhi? Yes, it is a samashti upadhi. Virat. Samashti sthula prapancha, Virat. The entire sthula prapancha is there. This entire sthula body, Virat Rupa. That's why we say Lord Krishna showed his Virat Darshanam. Arjuna saw the entire universe as the body of Lord Krishna. Samashti. Vyashti. This means individual. Limited. Why? This individual is limited by this small body, mind, sense complex. No? It is Desha Parichinna, Kala Parichinna, Vastu Parichinna. What does it mean? This Vyashti is limited by space, by time, and by another object. Correct? You are sitting in front of me, you limit me, I limit you. Desha limits me. I'm here, I'm not there. Correct? Kala limits me. I was not there before I was born. I mean, so this body was not there before it was born. It won't be there after it drops, it dies. So, the Vyashti is limited by the Vyashti Upadhi, a limited Upadhi, whereas Samashti is the Samashti Upadhi. Some acharyas say Vyashti is a portion or a part of Samashti. But Advaita says, Advaita means the Upanishads say that there is no difference between Vyashti and Samashti. The Bheda is only in the Upadhi. The entire universe, objective universe, is the Upadhi for Ishvara or for Virat Ishvara. Whereas this limited body, mind, sense complex is the limited Upadhi for this Jiva. The Bheda is only in the Upadhi. Ishvara, Upadhi is big, unlimited. Whereas for a Jiva, the Upadhi is limited. Therefore, he says here, Samashti Ishvaraha Vyashtihi Jivaha. So, what is Jiva? This one and the only consciousness, Atma Brahman, as though limited by this limited body, mind, sense complex. And this Upadhi gives me a sense of individuality. And I say, I am a Jiva separate from you. Fine. Whereas what is Samashti? It is the whole objective universe is the Upadhi for the whole, for Ishvara. So Samashti is called as Ishvara, Vyashti is called as Jiva. We can take the example of Mahakasha and Ghatakasha. Supposing this whole space is here outside, let's not take this room, but maybe outside in the open. I keep 10 buckets or 10 ghatas or 10 pots, empty pots. What happens there? The same Akasha, the same space is present within each pot. Correct? But the space within the pot is called as pot space. Whereas the space which is outside is Samashti Akasha, Maha Akasha. What is the difference? There's no difference. That space and this space in the pot are not different from each other. But then what has made the Ghatakasha a limited space? The Upadhi called as the pot. Whereas Maha Akasha, the Upadhi is the whole Samashti. So it is big. So he says here, Samashti Ishvaraha, Samashti is Ishvara, Vyashti is Jiva. Some other, not Advaita, other acharyas say, Jiva is a part of Ishvara. Some say, Jiva is a reflection of Ishvara. But Upanishads say, Jiva is not separate from Ishvara. Jiva is not a reflection of Ishvara. Jiva and Ishvara are one and the same. It looks as if the Jiva is different because of the limited Upadhi. The Vyashti Upadhi limits this, looks as if I am an individual. Like one spot space looks different from another pot space, but there is only one space in different pots. There's only one Akasha. That's the same Akasha there also, here also. But that is open, free, samashti. This is something which is limited by the Upadhi. Akasha is not limited. It looks as though the Upadhi is limiting it, but it's really not limited. Ghatakasha and Mahakasha are one and the same. Because of this limitation or the Upadhi or attribute called as the pot, it looks as if it is separate. Similarly, the consciousness here, limited by this body, looks like as if it is an individual consciousness. No. The samashti, this Brahman consciousness, and Jiva, this so called individual, are not different. The Upadhi, the limited body mind sense complex, gives it an impression as though it is limited, as though it is different. It is not. So the Jiva and Ishvara are not different. Here he is only giving the Atma and Atma Viveka. That's also he saying Samashti is called as Ishvara, whereas Vyashti is called as Jiva. Iti Vedantadindimah. Later on he'll say this Vyashti and Samashti consciousness is one and the same. Ishvara and Jiva are not different. They are not part whole. They are one and the same. The Upadhi, whether it is Samashti Upadhi or Vyashti Upadhi, Upadhi is Anatma. Upadhi is Mithya. Therefore, the only thing that exists is Atma. Here the Atma is not different. There it is not different. Vyashti Atma, there's nothing called as Vyashti Atma. Atma, from the point of view of this Vyashti Sharira, we call as Jiva. Atma, or that same consciousness from the point of the total, we call as Ishvara. There's no difference. Both are the same. It is the Upadhi Bheda only. Therefore, when we understand this, then we understand that that same consciousness, Brahman, is me also and Ishvara also. Now let's go to the next verse, 7th verse, where from another point of view, the whole universe is divided. Jnana karma padarthau dvau vastu kartratma tantraka jnanan moksho na karmabhyah iti vedantadindimaha. Jnana karma padarthau dvau. There are only two things that are happening in this world. Action is happening or knowledge is happening. Jnanam means what? Knowledge. Karma, transactions. Naturally, when the anatma prapancha is there, this body mind sense complex is there is going to be definitely karma. Karma can be any action. Karma need not be only laukika action. It can be laukika, it can be vaidika. It could be, regular, local, our laukika action. Common actions is also karma. Spiritual actions done for the sake of spiritual enhancement in the form of Vaidika karmas. Any kind of a karma, any kind of an action is called as karma. So this whole universe is only two things, either in the form of knowing or in the form of doing, isn't it? I mean, see, logically also, if we see what are our lives, our day-to-day lives, either knowing or doing, knowing or doing, knowing or doing. Nothing more than that. The whole day, transactor or whole living is nothing but knowing and doing, knowing and doing. Either what is known earlier is done now, or what we know now is done now. So it is a combination of various things, but it is nothing but knowing and doing. Okay, then he says, what is Jnanam? Vastu Tantram. Knowledge is as good as the object of knowledge. Correct? When I say this is a book, this is a knowledge, Jnanam. What is the meaning of this? That this is a book is as good as the book. Correct? And what is the karma that I do with this? I read it. Some people may use it as a cover for their teacups or coffee cups so that coffee remains warm. Some people may use the book as a pillow. For what karma we use this book? We don't know. But then, jnana karma padartha vastu kartratma tantrakau. Vastu tantra and karma tantra. There are two things are there here. Vastu tantra means knowledge is as true as the object it signifies. The knowledge of the book is that of the book only. It cannot be anything else. If I say this is a book, this is Vastu Tantra. The book is here, that this is a book, it cannot change. It depends on what this is, Vastu Tantra. I cannot keep this book in my hand and say that this is an apple, this is a fruit. Why? Then something wrong with me. Because then I'm seeing things which are not there, or I'm not seeing things which are really there. Then something is wrong with me. But if I have an understanding of something, the knowledge or understanding of something is as good as the object of knowledge. That is what is called as Vastu Tantram. Knowledge is Vastu Tantram. Therefore, understanding of Brahman, understanding of my real nature is also Vastu Tantram. As good as Brahman. It has no way, other way of understanding it. Vastu Tantra means I understand it the way it is. There is no other way of understanding it. If I understand it in some other way, then the defect is here. Okay? It is anyatha grahanam or agrahanam. If I have properly identified something, knowing something properly as this is X, then my knowledge this is X is as good as X. It cannot be different from X. Whereas kartrutantram is karma. Knowledge is vastutantram. Karma is kartrutantram. Kartrutantram means what? It depends on the karta. We have seen it earlier. I can do something. I need not do something. I can do it in different ways. Correct? There is a task given to me and you. You may decide to do it in a different way. I may decide to do it in a different way. You may decide not to do it at all. I may decide to do it. Okay? Kartum va, akartum va, anyatha kartum va. I can do it. I need not do it. I can do it in many ways. Therefore, the karma is kartrutantram, depends heavily on the doer. Now, when anatma is the doer, the consciousness behind the is the same. But this anatma, body, mind, sense complex is the doer. Therefore, anatma, body, mind, sense complex will have lot of variations in what is done. Okay, so karma is kartrutantram. Any action depends upon the doer, whereas knowledge is vastutantram. While knowledge does not depend on what I want it to be, it is what it is. If I say I don't want this to be a book, it does not change. If it is a book, it remains a book. It is vastutantram. Whether I accept it or not, it doesn't matter to anybody or to the book. Therefore, knowledge is called as vastutantram, as good as or as true to the object, to a T, in the sense it is. The knowledge is totally as the object of knowledge is. whereas karma is kartrutantram, depends upon the karta. Therefore, there are different ways of doing it. Correct? One task can be done in 100 ways by 100 people. That's why it is called as kartrutantram. Then, jnanad moksho na karmabhyaha iti Vedantadindimah. Knowledge being vastutantram, the knowledge of Brahman being exactly Brahman, it releases me from bandha. Karma being an individual choice, there is no moksha from karma. It keeps me in samsara. Jnanat mokshaha. Understanding aham brahmasmi, my swarupam, yathatmya of my swarupam, that is jnanam, which is vastutantram, that is moksha. Jnanat tu eva kaivalyam. Jnanat mokshaha na karmabhyaha. Karma cannot give me moksha. Karma can only give me karma phala, which makes me come back again and again and again into this samsara. Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. This is the proclamation. This is the understanding. This is the explanation of all the Vedanta. Therefore, if I am a true mumukshu, I have to go beyond karma. That's why Bhagavan Krishna in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga says, Jnanat yeva, karma sannyasa is possible. Of course, we won't go into that. That's a different topic. We will come across it in the future verses also. Knowledge alone releases me from bondage. Karma keeps me in bondage. Why? With karma, I have the kartrutvam. I am the doer. I am doing this karma for this particular result. So the karma I have done gives me phala. Punya or papa, I don't know. But that karma phala may not come in this life only. It may come in some other life. To work out that punya or papa of my karma, I have to come back again and again and again and again. So karma always keeps me in bondage. Karma done with the attitude of getting something out of it. When karma is done with the attitude of karma yoga, it prepares me for this aham brahmasmi knowledge. So jnanat tu eva mokshaha na karmabhyaha iti evedantadindimah. Karma can never give me moksha, however exalted the karma may be. Jnanam, what jnanam? Atma jnanam. What is Atma jnanam? Aham Brahma asmi. Knowing my reality, the real Swarupam, is what is called as Jnanam, Jnanatu eva mokshaha, iti Vedantadindimah. Let's stop with this. Nandantu sadhaka sarve vinashyantu vidushakaha avastha shambhavi mestu prasannostu gurus sada sarve bhavantu sukhinaha sarve santu niramayaha sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukkham apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.